Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's your boy Zach, and this is Zach Attack Reviews. We just hit 100 subscribers. We just a little bit over 100 subscribers. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. I appreciate everyone that's been watching and subscribing. If you haven't yet and you've been watching my videos, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends so this community can grow and you can be along with this journey of reviewing and reacting and dissecting movies and television shows that we love. Today I'm going to be breaking down the good, the bad, and ugly of the brand new blockbuster, Black Widow. Let's talk about it. The story of Black Widow picks up right off of the events of Captain America Civil War, where Team Cap and everybody's on the run because they oppose the Sokovia Accords, and it shows her going through the trials and tribulations of being on the run. That's how the movie starts off, and that's the state that Natasha is in. Going into this movie, I was excited because I felt like this had the potential to be a Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, James Bond, Quantum of Solace level type movie for the Black Widow character. She has all the story in the comics and all the setup in the movies to have that level of storytelling. I wanted her to really have an awesome movie because of what happened in Endgame and with her passing away, with her sacrificing herself for the better of everyone. I really wanted this movie to hit a bunch of different notes and really be a great send-off for the character, knowing that she's not going to be coming back. There's probably not going to be a Black Widow 2 unless they decide to go further back. But after watching this movie, I realized they won't, because they covered a lot of her history that we didn't know, jam-packed with things about her life and the things that she was going through, which was great. It was a lot of good information that we didn't know about the character that we needed to really color in the space and see why she was the way she was. And as I get into my breakdown, let's start off with what was good about the movie. The first big thing I can talk about is the characters. Tasha, obviously everyone knows her, Black Widow herself. Yelena Belova, her sister. Her Lexi, played by David Harbour, you know him from Stranger Things. He was playing Red Guardian, which is like the Russian Captain America, and Taskmaster, which is, if you're into the comics, if you played some of the, maybe even the Marvel versus Capcom games or any Marvel fighting game, and seen some of the animated movies and shows, he's a very interesting character, a fan favorite villain that I was really excited to see. They changed his look a lot in this movie, but they streamlined it for the MCU. But I'm going to start off with that character. Taskmaster in the first half of this movie felt like the Terminator. If you ever seen the Terminator movies, which, come on, of course you have, and how that feeling of every time the Terminator showed up, it felt like imminent death, like it was unstoppable force, and these people just not being able to handle it. That's how Taskmaster felt in the first half of this movie, and the way they adapted his powers in the comics, because in the comic he was able to mimic anybody's abilities in terms of fighting style, not really like if you had a superpower, and mimic them perfectly, match for match, and keep them in his head all the time. So anytime he saw you, he could do the same things. He can move like Spider-Man. He could fight like Black Panther. He had the archery skills of Hawkeye. He had the shield throwing ability of Captain America. And the more people he saw, the more powerful and more dangerous he became. And in here, they made it more tech-based, which was pretty cool, and it was an easy way to explain it without it being so ridiculous. You know, in comic books, something like that is easy to do, but in, you know, live action, for people who are not super into comic books, I think that they broke it down in the best way possible. Following Taskmaster, I would say Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, pew pew pew, can't help but say that when I hear her name, was fantastic. She was a great addition to the MCU. She was funny. It does really good serious acting. She has a charisma about her that draws you to her, and she did a really great Russian accent that was believable for me, at least. And the way she just carried herself, I believe that she was an assassin. I believe she was a spy. I believe all the things that they said she did from when she was a child. I believe that she did those things. But also, she was this grounded human being that was funny and had likes and just three-dimensional character. You know, she wasn't good, she wasn't bad, she was in a gray area. You know, I love my gray area characters. And it was a stark contrast from... It showed what Black Widow could have became if she never joined S.H.I.E.L.D. and joined the Avengers. It showed what could have happened to her, because this was her sister and they got separated and they went down different paths. But she understands the assignment of being a Marvel character. She did very meme-worthy, funny things. She was a lot funnier than I expected her to be in this movie, but also when it came down to the emotional moments, which she had a ton of them, she knocked it out of the park as well. I think this is going to be a fan favorite character coming out of this movie and moving forward. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, we've been watching her since Iron Man 2. She's been knocking it out of the park as the character. Obviously, she's not exactly like how the character is supposed to be from the comic, but as you know, you accept this version. She catches the essence of the character enough, flexes her acting muscles, and does a really great job here with being a female action star. That's not about the glitz and glamour that that you see those scenes where you see certain things like a Mission Impossible, a James Bond, or the more current James Bonds, or a Jason Bourne movie where sometimes they're just in a hoodie and they're hiding out, or those moments where they're just low down, dirty and gritty. She got to do that a lot in this movie, and it worked really well to ground this character in the world that they were setting up. I love David Harbour a lot, especially from Stranger Things, from the James Bond movies, or anything I ever seen him in. He really does a great job of capturing whatever his character needs to be, and he was really fun in this one. He maybe a little bit too much of a goofball, but it wasn't like too much where it took me out of the movie. It was just a little bit over just right, but he was just great overall. He's just a lovable actor that he made it acceptable, and he did great with his action sequences. He did great with all his comedy bits, and when it came to some of the serious moments, he really got down in there and really gave us some emotional stuff, especially in the beginning of this movie. And I want to talk, that's another positive point I want to talk about. The first 30 to 40 minutes of this movie doesn't feel like a traditional Marvel film. From the way it starts with showing some of Natasha's past and kind of where her family and where it came from, to the headlines that they post after during the credits when they're showing everybody's names and it's still part of the story. And then even following that, all of it felt like I was watching a Mission Impossible or like a James Bond or a Jason Bourne movie, which is what I wanted. And I really, really liked it. Even when Taskmaster showed up for the first time, it still felt grounded, and it reminded me of Captain America Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite MCU movies, probably top 2 favorite MCU movies of all time. And that movie took kind of like a spy thriller and mixed it in with superheroes. This was similar because she was also in that movie, and I could see the inspiration from that movie to this movie. A lot of the same story beats that was in Winter Soldier was applied to here as well, which helped bring some familiarity to the movie and help you. It was easy to guide along because you kind of like, okay, I understand the tone that is going on here because we've seen it before in the MCU. It's not something brand new. Obviously, it's filmed a little bit better. I feel like the director, Kate Shortland, did a great job of filming the action scenes. That's another great positive for this. The action scenes were hard hitting. I thought every time someone was fighting, I thought they were trying to kill, like legitimately kill the person. It was very, very believable, and just like those other movies I mentioned throughout this review, it was very similar to that. But because they're superheroes, because it's Marvel, it was taken up a little bit up to notch. They are a little stronger than normal. They're peak performance, so they get to do a little bit more and still survive. Some of it was a little ridiculous in terms of some of the things that Natasha survived because she's been through so much, and this is not her first movie, and we've seen her survive crazy things already. It wasn't super unbelievable, but I really enjoyed the action. That was like some, other than the character work and the funny parts of the movie and the emotional moments, the heart. Every time I was just holding my breath, I was like, oh my god, they're going for it in this movie with the action. And it was a variety of action. It wasn't just the same hand to hand combat. Each encounter felt unique. Sometimes hard in certain action movies where it feels like the fighting is the same over and over, just getting longer. And for the most part, the story and the themes that were going on here, I really, really enjoyed. When the movie was going along, it was touching subjects that the MCU has not touched. Real world problems that we have that people don't really like to speak about in real life in general, but this movie was touching upon it, and it directly linked and affected Natasha. It's something that she went through. I thought it was really interesting that the director and the writers would go there and touch on those subjects and tie it into this character. And it made sense because what was Natasha doing in between Civil War and Infinity War? It makes sense for her to go and do something more grounded. She had to stay low, so she went into the dark part of the world, the shadows, where they do maybe trafficking and drugs and different things like that you would normally people won't normally talk about. So it was really interesting to see her tackle something that was a little bit smaller in scale because everything has been like, oh my god, the world's about to end. And also, the one thing that got really, really hyped, because, you know, it would have been very weird if she died in this one unless she was a Skrull the whole time. That's not a spoiler, I'm just joking. But the after credit scene, what is helping move forward, was the price. It was enough for the price alone. It got me so hyped about what is going to be moving forward, because one of my fan favorite characters was in the after credit scene and is going after another fan favorite character, and it was just really great. I didn't expect them to take it that direction, and just that after credit scene alone is just worth to watch this movie, because the movie is just really fun. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It made me laugh. I got a little bit emotional in certain parts, and the action was so hard hitting. But before we get to the bad, I just want to say, I would like, again, thank you for everybody to subscribe. But if you're watching this video, please like and please comment your thoughts on what I thought was good and what you thought was good and what you really liked about the movie in the comments below. And also, I want to let you guys know I have a Patreon. The link will be in the comments below. If you want to support me, $2 a month, you get a text shout out on my videos. $3 a month, I give you a verbal shout out, whatever you want me to say, as long as it's safe for work. And let's get into the bad. Like I was saying before, because we know what happens to Natasha Endgame, the movie stakes are kind of low. The thing that people complain about in the early MCU movies, like, you know that everything is going to be okay. You obviously know everything is going to be okay when it comes to Natasha. Now, when it comes to the other characters in the movie, because we don't know, she doesn't mention having a family. They had stakes there, but obviously Natasha's the main character, so there was low stakes there. So I really wanted her just to go crazy and ham, just to show how awesome she was. And she did here and there, but I felt like they didn't go all balls to the wall as they could have in terms of showing Natasha as this badass assassin. They really focused on her emotional growth in her past more than making her a badass, which I understand. I just wish that they balanced it out a little bit more, because we know she wasn't going to be in any mortal danger in this movie. Also, I compared this movie a lot to Winter Soldier, Terminator, Mission Impossible, the Bond movies, the Bourne movies, but there was nothing in the movie that took it above those movies or even matched the best of those movies. Like I said, Winter Soldier is one of my favorites, and it carries some of the story beats of Winter Soldier, but the execution is not as emotional or as hitting as Winter Soldier, because we already seen Winter Soldier. We've seen that already, and also the ties and the effects to the greater MCU is not as grand as it was in Winter Soldier. The movie's impact is not going to be as strong because of that. Another thing is, like I told you guys in the good section, that I really enjoyed the action for the most part in this movie, but the last 20 to 30 minutes, the action everything just went off the rails. Honestly, the story, the action just went crazy. It forgot how grounded everything was beforehand, and just went nuts, but not in a way that I was talking about where I wanted to see Natasha as a badass. It was just a lot of explosions, a lot of CGI, like that problem. Like, you know, everybody loves Black Panther. Well, if you don't, you're weird. But for the most part, everybody loves Black Panther. But I think most people can agree that the ending fight between Killmonger and T'Challa was a little disappointment, because it became this CGI thing instead of how it was in the trial match that they had to decide who would be king. How emotional and great that was, it went off the rails. And I feel like the first fight between Taskmaster and Natasha, and then every encounter after, was very intense. I almost forgot that she can't die sometimes because of how intense Taskmaster was. But then they went, in the end, when that final fight is coming, they went CGI heavy, and then when it was time for them to go one-on-one, it became anticlimactic, and that was kind of disappointing. And that also ties into the ugly, the Taskmaster twist. I won't spoil what the twist with Taskmaster is. I won't even hit too far into what it is, because I don't want people to, you know, have that in your head. But there is a twist, and it's something similar to Winter Soldier, but it doesn't hit as hard because there wasn't a Black Widow one. This is the first Black Widow movie, and it's just weird that they went with it, especially because of a character like Taskmaster. For the most part, I try not to complain when things are not comic accurate, because obviously I think I take this as a separate universe, and sometimes Marvel changes things from the comics for the better, i.e. Killmonger, i.e. Thanos. I think that the way they handled Thanos and Killmonger's stories were much better than what we got in the comics. I think Killmonger was much more minor character in the comics. Now he's a fan favorite, and I think Thanos' motivation wouldn't work as well in live action, and I think the change was better. But here with Taskmaster, where he has such a story history in the comics, and it's was really easy to tie everything in, it would have been to in this movie. The change here felt a little forced. It felt like it wasn't earned, and that's really unfortunate because I really liked everything up until that twist with the even after the twist I still like the character, but I feel like the character dropped a notch because of that twist, and for it to have such an anticlimactic ending with the fight, it didn't help with at all. So that was something that will make or break a lot of people for this movie. It will make or break the movie for a lot of people. That twist, especially if you're a comic book fan, you know who the character is. If you don't, it might not affect you that much. But it was something that I kind of saw a mile away. It wasn't super like creative, and that really hurt. I felt like this movie needed something that would knock it out of the park, especially with a character like Taskmaster. It's somebody that I want to see moving forward. Let's go to the question blocks. Are you excited for the future with any of the characters to survive this movie? Let me know any ideas of what you think is going to happen. Obviously, with the after credit scene, we know what one character is going to be doing and where they probably will show up next. But with the rest of the characters, do you feel like they're going to just fade off in the distance and never be used again? Or will they pop up later in other things? And where do you think they can pop up with the large slate of movies and TV shows that Marvel has lined up? And also let me know if you feel like this was a fitting end for Natasha's story. And my verdict. Oh man, this was something hard. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie despite its faults. One of the things is honestly, I wished it was a little longer so we could have gotten more breathing room for some of the emotional moments and some of the action sequence, especially the ending. But because of the low stakes and because of the twist with Taskmaster and it not hitting that hard for me, this is a very watchable movie. It's not a must-watch for me. Even with the end credit scene being amazing as it is, even though it's low-key, but if you've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier and you see this after credit scene, you're going to be super hyped. But you can just look that up online later. If you're not super interested in this movie, you can skip it. I hate to say that, but you can. But it's still a very watchable movie. You're not going to hate it. There's nothing in here to hate to me. So yeah, that's my verdict of the movie. Let me know below again, like how you feel about the movie, about my review. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my next movie review, trailer reaction, or top 10 list that I make. And also, this was a Marvel weekend. We got episode 5 of Loki. I did a review for that. We got a new What If official trailer. I reacted to that, and now this. So check those out. The links will be down below in the description. And have a wonderful day. And as always, peace.